In software engineering, we are looking at chapter number 9, requirements modeling, scenario-based methods. So in scenario-based modeling, we are actually talking about the use case diagram, the other diagram supporting it. So the success of any product is measured in terms of quality, that is user satisfaction. If the actors, the end users, or the people who are going to interact with the system, if it is well understood how they are interacting, now the software team can easily find out, characterize and prioritize the requirement, and on the basis of these they can build the analysis and design model. So in requirement modeling or analysis modeling, these are the pictures which we are going to discuss. What are they? So in requirement modeling, we start with UML. UML is the de facto standard, industry standard unified modeling language for making different kind of scenarios in form of use cases, activity diagrams and swim lane diagram. So the first one you see is the use cases, second one is the activity diagram, and the third one you see is the swim lane diagrams. How to create a use case? So Alistair Cogburn, he is a very renowned person in software engineering field. So he said that a use case is a contract for behavior. That is, a use case is going to capture the interaction between the user and the software. That is the producer and the consumer of information and the system itself. That is, if you take a picture, that is you capture one kind of interaction between your system and the other stakeholders and also the state of the system. That is a use case. So it is called a use case. You can call it as usage scenario. So we will try to develop a proper use case, which is actually the analysis modeling. Requirement modeling give rise to analysis modeling. Analysis modeling is all about creating these models. So use case is describing a specific usage scenario from a point of view of an actor. There can be multiple actors. How does an actor see or how does an actor interact? That usage scenario is a use case. Now the question comes, what to write in the use case? How much we have to write? How detailed you have to write? That is, what are the description you have to give? So all these have to be organized also. So how to organize the description? So what to write about? Whenever you are writing a use case, see, if you remember the requirement engineering process, the first two requirement engineering tasks that were inception and the elicitation. And these are the basis of use cases. So inception task, elicitation task will give you the information for making use case. Along with this, there are other methods we discussed. That is the requirements gathering meetings. Then we have the QFG, quality function deployment, QFD. This can also be used. There are various methods. So we use it to first of all identify the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders who are going to use it? We have to define the scope of the problem. That is what the problem or software want to achieve. Then what are the goals, operational goals? What do you want to do with this software or the system? And then priorities, which has to be made earlier, which has to be made later. And the functional requirements. What are the work, tasks you are supposed to get from the completion of this software? And then the things, because we are talking about object oriented, so we'll talk about object. So these objects that are going to be worked upon and manipulated by the system. Okay. So these, along with these other things, are the information you'll get. So in order to develop a use case, all the function, feature, activity which is performed by a specific actor, I am telling you, we have multiple actors. So for a specific actor, what are the functions and activities? How do you get it? You can converse with, you can talk with that stakeholder, and then you can develop various diagrams as a part of requirements modeling. What to write about? So if you remember, this safe home is actually a software or a system for surveillance of home. That is, we want our home to be safe. That is, here we are talking about the cameras. Now just understand that we have an actor, say homeowner. Now if you want to have a surveillance system, what will you do? You will select a camera to view. Then you would like to see all the thumbnails or the view from all the cameras. Then you would like to display camera views in, say, a PC, personal computer, or a laptop. You can also pan and zoom a specific camera. And then you can selectively record also. There are multiple cameras because one camera will be in your alley, one camera will be in your parking. So recording can be done, the recording can be replayed, and you can also access camera surveillance using the internet. That is, wherever you are sitting across the globe, you can access your home cameras. This is the surveillance system. Now, when you talk with the stakeholder, here we are talking about the homeowner, whosoever is playing the role of the homeowner. When the conversation, the talk, the requirement gathering take place, use case for each function will be noted down. This is what you have to write about. So this is, see, I'll tell you what he is going to say, and I'll tell you also what you are going to get out of what he has said. So use case for each function is to be noted. So let us take an example of the last one, which is, these are different identified function. So access camera surveillance via the internet. Now this function, let us say we are going to make the use case for this function. Let us name it ACS DCV, ACS for access camera surveillance, and DCV for display camera views. So this is the function we are talking about, and we are going to make a use case out of it. Now we'll have a conversation with the user. Now we'll ask him, just give you an idea, what do you want? Now what does he want? What are the order of the sequence of the user action? So we'll start with the use case name. We have decided the name. It has to be the name which everyone can understand. You can understand, and the people who are going to later use it should also understand. So it is accessing the camera of your house from a remote location, from say your house is in America, you are viewing it from Canada. Now the actor is a homeowner. The actor is homeowner. We are talking about just one actor. You have to do it for every actor. Different kind of functions. So he says like this: if I am at a remote location, I can use my PC with appropriate browser software, say any Chrome, etc., to log on to this Safe Home Products website. So the Safe Home company is making a product, and for that the product can be accessed through website. I enter my user ID and 2 levels of passwords, and once I'm validated, I have access to all functionality for my installed Safe Home system. See, he is just narrating. He is also saying, to access a specific camera view, I select surveillance from the major functions button display. He also says, I then select a Pica camera and the floor plan of the house is displayed. Because the house can be multiple floor, you can have a basement also. Then he says, I think select the camera that I'm interested in. It can be any camera. Or alternatively, he's saying I can look at thumbnail snapshots for all cameras simultaneously by selecting all cameras as my viewing choice. So this is the narration he is giving. A homeowner. This is a communication we are having with him. He also says, once I choose a camera, I select view, and 1 frame per second view appears in a viewing window that is identified by the camera ID. So you want to see each of the camera, and he wants to see in a particular rate also. If I want to switch cameras, I select pick a camera, and the original viewing window disappears and the floor plan of the house is displayed again. He wants to see kitchen, he wants to see parking. I then select the camera that I am interested in and a new viewing window appears. So this is how he has narrated to us. He has told to us as a requirement gatherer or the analyst. Now, as we are revisiting the same use case, which is we have called as ACS DCV, this is the function. Now, how do we write the narration? So whatever he has disclosed to us, we will try to first write all these content in the declarative sentence one by one. The use case, now I am writing exactly same thing with sentences as declarative sentences. That is, first, same thing I am writing, same thing. The homeowner logs onto the Safe Home Products website. The homeowner enters his or her user ID. The homeowner enters 2 passwords. Now we have added our thing, at least 8 characters. The system displays all major function buttons. This we have added by ourselves. The homeowner selects the surveillance from the major function buttons. Homeowner selects pick a camera. The system displays the floor plan of the house. The homeowner selects a camera icon from the floor plan. The homeowner selects the view button, and the system displays a viewing window that is identified by the camera ID, and the system displays video output with the viewing window at 1 frame per second. So this is the narration, and what we have written is just free flowing. It has no interaction alternatives. That is, it has no catering of ifs and buts. That is, what if this is not done? What if that happens? This has not been taken care. Okay. So this kind of narration is called the primary scenarios. Use case of these type free flowing without any alternatives or interaction alternatives are referred to as primary scenarios. So all these branching, looping, if else, switch, this is not catered up till now. That is why we are calling it as a primary scenarios. Now, the second step. So the description of these alternative scenarios or interaction is very much important, essential for complete understanding of the function described by a use case, because the use case will not be complete. So we need to develop this primary scenario. We need to ask certain questions, because this is just a narration. We have written it in the form of declarative sentences. Now the interactions, alternative. Can the actor take some other action at this point? Is it possible that the actor will encounter some error condition at this point? If yes, what it might be? Is it possible that the actor will encounter some other behavior at this point? That is, some outside event, some trigger which is beyond the control of actors. What will happen? What will be the behavior? If it is true, what it might be? So now we have to develop a secondary scenario. All these is the primary scenario. Now I am taking the example of 6th and 7th, for example. 6th and 7th, we will try to develop the secondary scenario. Others, all we have to do. I want to just keep it summarized, so I am just taking 2 of them. So we will be doing this secondary scenario for this primary scenario, which was already taken from the narration from the user. User is the homeowner. So 6th and 7th. The 6th is the homeowner selects speaker camera. The 7th one is the system displays the full floor plan of the house. Now the question is, can the actor take some other action at this point? The answer is absolutely yes, because actor can do so many things. Actor may choose to view thumbnails, snapshot, all at the same time, all cameras simultaneously. So the homeowner selects a speaker camera. Now he wants to see all of them. So now we have a new scenario added. That is, view thumbnail snapshot for all cameras. This is the new thing which has come up from answering this question. The other question is it possible that the actor will encounter some error condition at this point? The answer is yes. There can be multiple error conditions. What can it be? A floor plan with the camera icons may have never been configured. What does it mean? Every house is different. 1 floor, 2 floor, 3 floor. Every house, the installation of the cameras are different. So first you have to configure these camera according to the floor plan. Then only you can go to the next step. Okay. How can you pick a camera when the camera is not even configured? I hope you got the idea. So selecting pick a camera will result in an exception, or you can say an error condition. That can be no floor plan configured for this house, or no camera planning is done up till now. These are the alternatives. These are the interactive alternatives. So the secondary scenario we are making. One more question I said we need to ask. Is it possible that the actor will encounter some other behavior at this point? Yes. There may be alarm condition. For example, this all is security scenario. So there will be an alarm. So depending upon the type, the location of the camera, the system action, there are number of, the actor will be provided with number of options. It can be relevant to different kind of an alarm or nature of alarm. Now, because of the complexity of this situation, we cannot just solve it here, because we have to see the different kinds of permutation and combination. We have to make a separate use case that is called alarm condition encountered. I hope you got the idea. The answering of this question has created a new separate use case, because it has multiple scenarios that can be made. And use case is all about capturing a scenario. So alarm condition encountered will be a different use case. So what we saw here is error we are calling. Now let us call it as exception. Exception is just that if some condition fail, or actor is taking some alternative path, alternative he has chosen. So once he choose, there is a different behavior of the system. Once he choose this, there is a different behavior. That is an exception. So now we have to note the exception. We have to handle this exception, and then we have to write what are the alternative scenario we are going to write in order to handle the exception or the problem or the error or the failure or the alternative we have got after discussing this. And in various cases, even the exception will develop another use case, as we just saw, alarm condition encountered. Okay, so the scenario can be created even from the exception. So we have to make new use case accordingly. Let us take an example. If you are sitting in, say, Canada, accessing your home at US, maybe the web-based interface is too slow. You are clicking so many buttons now. So here, how to do this? Because there are the problems multiple problems can arise. So Cogburn, he recommends there has to be a brainstorming session, because we need to derive all set of exception for each and every use case. So the questions here, or the content here, are these cases in which some validation function occur during this use case? Some validation function is there that may fail, that may pass. Are there cases in which a supporting function or actor will fail to respond appropriately? Because you are accessing the website through a remote location. So there can be multiple scenarios, multiple questions being asked, which Cogburn has recommended. So validation function, some supporting function failed, or can poor system performance can cause the improper or unexpected way. Say you have made a safe home software, but if you're accessing from, because you are bound by various say technologies and techniques and browser, etc. So you have to see that also. Now, how to write a formal use case? Because a use case, if it is involving critical activity where we have number of exceptions, we need to have a formal approach. This is the template we have to use. We have to write, you cannot just narrate and write certain things. You have to use a formal approach. And it is always better, you have to use a use case template and write a formal use case. So the ACS DCV function, the formal use case will be written like this. So you will write a use case. You will write also the iteration. What are the primary actors? What is the goal in context? The goal is, it will identify the overall scope of that particular use case. What this use case want to achieve: to view output of camera placed throughout the house from any remote location via the internet. This is the goal. Then what is the precondition? The precondition is telling what is known to be true before the use case is initiated. This has to be done so that the other things can be done. So the precondition can be system must be fully configured and username and password, all these have to be also configured. What are the triggers? The homeowner decides to take a look inside the house while away. That is what actually created this use case to happen. Sometimes you want to see your house, what is happening. This is the trigger. Scenario. Now scenario are all the points which I discussed just now. Okay. So scenario is all the action required by the actor and the appropriate software or the system responses. Then comes the exceptions. These are the scenario or situation. These are which will refine your use case. Exceptions are not the failures. These are the exceptions which will refine your system, like if, else, alternative, interaction, scenarios, or the options we are going to choose. Because there will never be a straight road in your life. There will be multiple roads. You have to choose all of them in your software development. So this diagrammatic representation unified modeling language can be used whenever your scenario is complex. Better is to use a UML. Now you see here, this is the use case. Here we have a use case diagram. The left is the use case diagram. Here you have the actor, and the oval, that is the egg-shaped figure, is the use case: access camera surveillance via the internet. Camera is also interacting, which is the external. Homeowner is external. So the use case is an oval: access camera surveillance via the internet. Use case is focusing on the functionality and what are the software behavioral requirements with respect to this use case or user action. Non-functional requirements are not catered here. Please understand, this use case is not good for or not appropriate for NFRs or non-functional requirement. So just have a look. This is the use case, and there are multiple things others we have to write. Now, developing an activity diagram. use case already been made. There are some supplement additional diagrams which can help the use case. That is, if I told you, if you get 5,000 rupees, you will buy a shoe. If you get 2,000, you will buy a shirt. So there are so many scenarios, there are so many flow of interaction. So the activity diagram will add your use case, because this activity diagram will represent, show the flow of interaction within a specific scenario. Multiple options. This activity diagram is just like a flow chart we have already seen. The activity diagram, here you see the rounded rectangles. This is showing a specific system function. Why we are calling it as a rounded rectangle? Because this is rounded at the corners, and it is all about writing this specific system function. Okay. Then what are the arrows? They are representing the flow through the system. What will be the next step? What is the decision? There are diamonds. These are decision diamonds, and these are the branching decisions. And every arrow needs to be labeled. Arrow is showing the path, labeled, and the solid horizontal lines for parallel activities. The multiple ways to represent it. Sometimes we write these horizontal lines we draw, and then inside this we write various parallel activities. I'll show you parallel activities here. So these are the different figures normally used. Round circle with a bold circle, that is the end. So activity diagram is additional. Whatever is implied by use case, we add it to the activity diagram. For example, just see an example. User can give the user ID and password, but in use case we have not talked about how many number of times. If you see here in activity diagram, when we are prompting for re-entry, username password is entered, we are prompting for re-entry. That is, how many times he has to enter. If he fails, then number of times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, whatever you want to give. So this condition is given in the activity diagram. So entering password, if valid password, it is okay, we select the major function. If it is invalid password, then we have to be prompted for re-entry. If we are selecting major function, then we go to select surveillance. Then we have the either thumbnail views or select a specific scenario. These are two, and these two of the functions here are the parallel activities. So selecting camera icon and selecting specific camera thumbnails are the parallel activities because they work together. Finally, we view camera output in label window and then prompt for another view. If you want to see again, then we loop back again to the diamond above. Otherwise, we exit this function. This is we have added an activity diagram to use case. Now comes the swim lane diagram. This is nothing but a variation of activity diagram only. So I'm not saying you have to make all the diagram. I'm just saying that these are the additional diagrams that will enhance, emancipate the description of your use case. So this represents the flow of activity. This swim lane diagram represents the flow of activities which is actually described by your use case. At the same time, it will indicate which actor or analysis class has responsibility for the action. I'm just talking about the classes. We'll be talking it later in detail. But what classes you have defined or identified, or the actor has the responsibility for this action. And the responsibilities are presented in the parallel segments that we divide the diagram vertically. I'll show you. Now, if you are, say, into swimming, you know there are lanes. These are the parallel segments that we have divided in the diagram vertically. These are different swim lanes, and each swim lane is representing a class or an actor. So what is the responsibility of which class is shown here? Homeowner, camera, interface, this responsibility. So this is like the lanes in a swimming pool. Let us assume we have defined or found out three classes: homeowner, camera, and interface. Interface is nothing but the user interface. Interface class will represent the user interface as seen by the homeowner. What he will do? So something will come up, that will be the prompt for re-entry, prompt for another review. This will be interface is going to deal. So just take an example that the activity diagram, let us say you will get two prompts, and that will be the responsibility of the interface, user interface. Let me show you prompt for re-entry and prompt for another view. So you have the prompt for re-entry. This will only come when you enter the wrong password. And there is one more, in the lower part, if you see prompt for another view. So in swim lane, enter username, password. If it is okay, we go to select major function. This is homeowner word. But if invalid password is there, the interface will take place, and that will be prompt for re-entry. And it will again go back to the homeowner if it is expecting again. So valid, select major function, invalid, interface will again reprompt. Number of times, say 5 times you have allowed it, a user. So this will go for 5 times. So now this interface is a swim lane diagram. There is one more part here, as I was just suggesting, the prompt for another view. Now when you have the, if he is want to see thumbnail or a specific camera, there are parallel activity. When generating the output video is the camera activity. So camera class will take care of generating the output video. Now view camera output in labeled window. So this is the homeowner activity, but it will go to the interface because the prompt will come in the user interface. Okay, the prompt for another view, and if see another camera, it will again go back to that diamond. Otherwise, it will exit this function. So this is the work of interface. So what we have seen here is the swim lane interface or interface swim lane. These prompts and the decision associated will fall under this category in this swim lane. Okay, but they are going back to homeowner swim lane where the homeowner actions occur. So we have use cases, then we made the supplement, and then we made the another supplement swim lane diagram. Okay, this is all about the scenario based modeling. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.